So, I've got a couple of videos to respond to here. I haven't seen this one in the past while, so I don't remember what this is about. But I stopped it at 25 seconds in, so it must have really pissed me off, so let's find out.
Hello everyone on YouTube, it's me again. I've got another point to make about sabers. Now the saber is, as you can see, curved. It's sort of what makes a saber. And whereas a straight blade is quite handy for fencing with, I can tell you now that this is really awkward in your hand. It's quite heavy and it feels really unbalanced and awkward to fence with. I really wouldn't want to fence with.
Okay, oh, there it is. 23 seconds, baby. It's about the same time that I must have paused last time. Unbalanced is the wrong word. He's saying unbalanced because it's weighted to the blade. It's not unbalanced. It just makes the blade want to move a lot. See, the dewsock on the wall is weighted the same. There's no pommel on it. It's just a lot of material up here. So it's not weighted wrong. It's just, it wants to move. You want to keep it flowing around.
To fence with. I really wouldn't want to fence with this if my life depended on it.
That's because you don't know how to use it.
Is my belief. This is an opinion. You know, I could be wrong. YouTube, it turns out, is fallible. I know, it's extraordinary, but apparently it's so. I reckon you don't fence with it at all. What you do is you gallop along, and then when you come to a foe, you take a dirty...
Don't fence with it at all. Apparently in Hungary they don't call it fencing. They call it turning of the sword, which is really cool. I like it. It's a lot more elegant than fencing. Oh, fencing. Oh, it's defending yourself. Yeah, you're fencing. You're not defending yourself. You're trying to kill somebody. That's why it's a sword. Let's continue.
Really great swipe at it, and then you keep going. You don't stop on your horse to fence him. Ting, ting, ting. No. We just go straight. So you're not there. If you take a swipe,
he's right. There's a video recently with him in Modern History TV where he's still mentioning this. You don't stop on the horse, otherwise you're a dead man. That's obvious. But there are manuscripts for saber versus saber, foot-to-foot soldier fighting. So to say that they weren't used for that is historically incorrect.
Swipe at him and miss, and he's ready for a return shot. Well, by the time he gets his return shot in, you're 30 yards past him on your horse. So that's why I think these things feel so awkward. It might even be that they're deliberately designed to be awkward to discourage you from trying to stop and fence with your opponents. There's a nasty little thing I've noticed that you can do quite effectively with this. Now, it's sharp from about there to about there on the back, which is enough
clip point
to allow you to stab with it very effectively.
You can also use it to remove hands, or open necks, or a number of horrible things. But yeah, you can stab with it. But you don't need a clip point to be able to stab with a saber. Some people think that sabers that don't have clip points can't thrust.
Stabbing at you, I can stab straight forwards, like that. And you...
He's saying that the clip point lets you thrust straight forward like that? Look at what the sword's doing. The clip point is at no point even facing you. It's actually more than 90 degrees away from you. Unbelievable.
And you, perhaps with your sword, you've been taught in your fencing schools to parry, ding, ding, like that, with nice, neat little parries, the minimum amount of movement they've taught you in the schools. Well, that works fine for a straight sword, but
yeah,
if I thrust
this is a good point.
You don't know which way I'm going to twist. I could twist that way.
That's a good point. So, if I was pushing him that way, oh wait, it's reversed, so that way, then his sword would travel in that direction, and then he twists like that. He's right, it would be more on my angle, but I would have stepped in that direction. And I have another hand, so I could have stepped and grabbed his hand and cut.
Or I could twist that way. So, if you're going to parry, let's say this way, because you think I'm going to go around that side, so you start parrying that way, and as I thrust forward, I turn.
Yeah.
The saber.
Yeah.
And even though you've parried
but I've been stepping that way.
I've still got your sunshine. You nasty.
You think so, but if I'm completely offline, then yeah, so your tip is also moving completely offline, but you're still thrusting in the same direction. Whatever. We really have to spar to find out. I would love to spar this guy. Okay. So that video is not that bad. The one that really drove me crazy a second ago is this one. Fancy fighting
In a
stances.
lot of old fencing manuals and martial arts books on how to punch people very hard, you'll see a lot of rather unconvincing, rather exotic poses that look a bit poncy. There's one
Okay, so the 4 basic stances that you learn initially are plow and then ox, where your edge is facing 45 degrees outward. So that if a cut... Should I just get another weapon? Okay, so if a sword is coming in at you like that, you put your sword out like that, and you clash edge to edge. That's the basic version, right? There is a much more intricate move that's a master cut, where you put your thumb, you rotate the sword, and put your thumb here. And you cut on a flat plane, rotating like that. Ugh, trying to get it on camera. So the blade is flat, like that, but really, you're cutting on a 45-degree angle down. So toward you, the blade is pointing down, then when it's behind you, the blade is pointing up, and the hilt is pointing down. And then, every time you land your cut, your arms are extended to the sides like that. So, like this, you can easily off a head, into the side of the head. If someone's cutting like this, you can actually cut to attack like that, but what you're doing is constraining their blade here while hitting them over here. It's much more technical, and it requires more precision and timing, but that's why they call it a master cut. So let's see what he's about to show us.
a lot of the German fencing manuals from the late medieval period called ox, where you stand like this.
Right, that's an odd ox. If you remember what I just told you. Ox is edge pointing out in that 45-degree angle. As you can see, his edge is flat, which means he's in his work position. Zwerkau. I'm not German. I don't know. I am German, but I don't live there.
You see, and you might think, yeah, right, yeah, would you really? Well, having tried this out against lots of people, I would say that I'm not.
Having seen how you do this technique, and having done it physically myself, it works. You, on the other hand...
The greatest fan of this position, if you stay in this position...
That's not the right... That is the wrong position!
But no one's saying that you should ever stand in that position for any length of time.
You shouldn't stand in any position for any length of time, but...
People will tell you, don't stand in a position like that for any length of time, because you are offering an opportunity to your opponent. However,
every position has opportunities.
Lots of other things. If someone's thrown a combination of blows against me and I've got contact.
What is that guard? What is he doing? Horrible position.
Over the top. I can throw up.
Oh, because it's a transitionary position. So you're not actually sitting here like this. You're gonna fly into any other position. Well, okay, but that's key. But that's retracted plow. But that's, you know, wrath. That's tog. That's long point. That's every position. That's all of them.
I can also cut you from here. I can cut you.
Yikes! He ended his cut in the middle of his head, right above him, like that. Not only does this not threaten, but it leaves you open in every single place that you think that you're defending yourself. Oh, but it was an attack. He was attacking. It was his work. Every's work is a master cut, which means every time you do it, you're hitting and blocking. You're controlling their sword and you're hitting. If you're not doing those things, you're not doing it right.
Like that. If I cut you that way and fail to get through your defense, I can immediately cut you the other side.
Yikes.
Quite a hard.
Every time he goes into this open side position, he does it above his head, like this. Or is it like this? No, he's on the open side. Yeah, he's on the open side. So he's like this. That's even worse, because this is easier to avoid happening. You're supposed to be out here, right? So that by the time this hits you and then is done traveling, I've gone past you, right? If I end here, the sword doesn't even reach you. let alone carrying through you. He has to go into the utmost broken position to go there, which has 0 power. This is a sharp sword. If you did what he's doing right now, I'm in such an unbelievably bad position, I can actually flick the blade, and I'm not cut.
And if I just tip that cut forwards, you can see that this...
They're supposed to be tipped forwards in the first place. I'm not criticizing his intelligence. I'm criticizing his knowledge of swordsmanship, because I know that he's a smart guy. But this is astounding.
Moves from the manuals, and then most of it seems to go out of the window as soon as the practical situation of having to hit someone without yourself being hit turns about. And watching Olympic fencing, for instance, you'll notice that they don't really stick to the classical manuals that much. You understand?
Olympic fencing doesn't look at historical manuscripts, because Olympic fencing is a pure sport where you're not fighting each other, you're playing a game to win points. Doing this kind of technique, where you're both defending and attacking, is useless. It's completely meaningless. You don't want to block and attack at the same time. There's no reason to do that. If you can just hit them first, you win. I mean, in my head I go, yeah, but if their first strike is one that you're able to constrain and hit, then maybe you'll win, and I just don't know. If they have no self-preservation, the point is, it's a sport, and they're they're playing, and they're doing it for completely different reasons. They have a different goal in mind, they have a different audience, everything is different. It's not the same thing. So to even suggest that they would go back to a historical manuscript is completely asinine. Or even to suggest that it's relevant.
Once you've learned the rulebook, then you're in a much better position to throw it away.
Hilarious that you say that, because this entire video is just making it astoundingly apparent that you have never read any rulebook. I don't know which rulebook you think you've read, or understand. You don't. Okay. Let's stop. Yeah, mirror it. Did that work? Yeah. Well, that's gonna be confusing. I'm gonna edit this out.